Hey everyone, welcome back to the Class 1A channel. My name is Andrew Nimsgren, and I'm here to walk you through everything that happened in chapter 297 of the My Hero Academia manga. And it is setting up so much for the future and this next arc that I'm incredibly excited for. But let's not waste too much time at the front. Let's talk about the chapter and I'll give you everything else at the end, including what it could mean for the future. But chapter 297 starts with a couple of screenshots of what Tartarus looks like, what the gate is, and giving a little bit of information about it as a whole for those of you that did not already know. But we all of a sudden see the All for One control Tamura and his high-end Nomus attacking the bronze gate, with a couple of the guards calling for a code red. Inside the facility, two guards at the lowest level are talking about Machia, who is going to be arriving in a couple days, and talking about how he couldn't kill him and it's unhumane because he is still considered a human to blow him up with missiles, and that even though the Hearts and Mind Party, which was controlled in part by the Paranormal Liberation Army and all that kind of going on, that it can still be used against them, and even though he may not think of them as humans, it is still very frowned upon, and everyone with a quirk is still human at birth. And that's kind of a whole really unique thing that we haven't really heard much about, is kind of human rights and those of something like Machia that is more on the monster side, but is still considered a human in the end of the day. So that is something cool we talk about later. But as it goes on, the Code Red reaches the prison, and they realize almost instantly that it's Tomura and the Nomu, because they came there and they instantly start lowering all of the gates or raising them up or down into the water so that they can't get across. But All for One flies up on a flying Nomu, and at that moment, Tomura tries to take back control of his body, with All for One telling him to rest, that the hyper regeneration quirk still needs time to heal his body. But Tomura asks him why he's using it in the first place if it needs a rest. But he reminds him that this is the power that Tomura wanted, that all the hatred inside of him, he's trying to give it to him, and that Tomura doesn't want to be a pawn. But All for One just responds with, he'll be the next me, pretty much setting him as more as a king than a pawn. But who really knows without being All for One. But the All for One Tomura combination used decay to destroy a guard tower, escaping from the attacking robots that are coming from him. And they use the search quirk to locate the body that is now 500 meters below the sea, realizing that even with that body and everything that he has is not going to be enough to get down to the body by himself. So at that moment, there is actually a EMP attack, and before all of the systems are able to return, All for One uses original body to take advantage of that, frying the door open and pretty much all the other circuits, opening all the electrically controlled doors, unleashing a whole bunch of people, including Muscular and Moonfish that we saw, and then an electric-based woman. We don't really know exactly what her quirk is or who he is. This is the first time seeing her. Does go and open up a still locked door, which contains Overhaul, who quickly runs out, calling for his boss. As they all go out saying they're free, they want to get on the ground, they realize that the bridge is destroyed, and at that moment, All for One says, you let me control you, come under me, and I will give you all of the freedom you want. And that is pretty much setting up, is with the twist of it, we already always know that Midori is talking about, this is my journey of being the greatest hero. This chapter ends with, this is how he's going to become the greatest demon lord of all, kind of giving the other side of the story. So we have so many old characters coming back in this moment. We obviously have a new one. We have Overhaul coming back, and we now have All for One back in the open. Obviously going to take all of these villains maybe straight into another battle again while the heroes are damaged, maybe trying to regroup them and form some kind of plan before taking on something. No idea where it's actually going to go now that all these are there, but we've seen how dangerous Muscular can be. Moonfish looks more deadly than ever in this one. Before he was taken out by a couple of high schoolers, here it's actually going to be taking out guards of one of the highest end prisons, I'm assuming in the entire world, means he's no joke. And Overhaul being back, who knows what side he's going to be on, but it's still exciting to see some of these characters come back, and I'm assuming Stain's going to be in here somewhere, and if anything, it could be an advantage for the heroes with how much Stain did not like Shigaraki, and assuming All for One as well, considering that what Stain sees as the purest form of hero is All for One. I can't see him, All Might, I can't see him teaming up with All for One. So there's so many stories opening up, and how these villains will all come under All for One to be really curious, but this is pretty much what did happen in the past before All Might defeated him the very first time, is that he had this army and he's talked about defeating them all one by one in the big Camino arc, is that they talked about this army that was all taken out before the big fight between All for One and All Might, we are pretty much setting up for that again, but this time there is no All Might. Hero Society as a whole, at least in Japan, is pretty much destroyed right now, and with Deku not being in the shape, if they continued on their rampage from tonight and just keep attacking the city tomorrow, which seems very much on par with what All For One was saying, is that tomorrow is not promised. Who's going to stop them? I mean, some people from Class 1A, there may be a couple of pro heroes left here and there, but no one from the top 10 is probably in fighting shape right now. And I mean, you're going to need top 10 heroes to take down the likes of Muscular, Overhaul if he comes back. Even without arms, I'm sure he'll find some way to do that. 2 All For Ones pretty much, in the sense that All For One and Shigaraki are both there. I mean, we saw how much Shigaraki was able to do by himself, and now with the full All For One there alongside his mini-me, it's going to be incredibly deadly, and I just don't know what they're going to do to stop him at this point. I think they may do some kind of time jump, but maybe the villains don't go on and attack everything instantly and give the heroes a chance to recover, which seems like a dumb plan on the All For One side, but I just don't know how they can be a fight. Maybe this is going to be the turning of all of society, and we turn into a villain society, that hero society is done for, and that the heroes are defeated right now. No one can stand up for it, and Class 1A, UA, they all get destroyed, kind of like a Harry Potter-like vibe in the last 2 books where Voldemort won. This is All For One winning. He's back in the flesh with no counterpart to really fight him right now. And villains pretty much have free reign of all of Japan if they wanted, and it would be a really interesting way if they did go with pretty much the villain takeover arc. Is that, yep, All For One is now ruling all of Japan. There's going to be fights, there are going to be small skirmishes here and there of them trying to take it back. Obviously, they're not just going to roll over, but no one can stop them right now. And Deku and Todoroki and some of them, anyone that's left and can fight, goes underground, train up, and try to find a way to take back, because of how dire the situation is right now and how much Shigaraki did by himself. It's going to be uncontested. So I don't really know what next chapter is going to be. And I think that's a really exciting part about this. Obviously, with the entire Paranormal Liberation war arc, it's just like, I want to get back to the fight, or what's happening with Machia and all this. There's so many little threads here and there, but now the only things we know is All For One's out and Shigaraki's out together. So there's 2 All For Ones pretty much at this point, plus a whole army of the most deadly villains ever, because they're at Tartarus, versus a hero side that is incredibly damaged, top 10 heroes dead, and not much really on that side. So it sets up a point of where this villain arc could happen again, where it is going to be mainly Class 1A, Class 1B. Maybe we get some returns of some of the other hero schools that weren't as involved in this, and I could get a chance to kind of expand out the world and see snippets of other segments fighting across Japan against this. But the hero society that we've known that fought in the Paranormal Liberation war arc is in no shape to fight everything that All Might just put together. I mean, All For One put together. So I don't want to spend too much time. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, thinking about where next chapter is going to go, but it's so good. The series is getting so good. And with chapter 300, 3 chapters away, and not always meaning that has to be one of the big chapters, but you almost have to assume with everything here happening and setting up for chapter 300 that it's going to be a big confrontation, or All For One taking over Japan at the moment, making the claim that this is now my country. Who knows what's going to happen in these next 3 chapters, because My Hero can go anywhere from a time jump to a continued fighting to going underground letting heroes recover and Hero Society falling apart by themselves. No idea where this is going to go, but that's what makes it so exciting, and that would make me come back and do these videos each and every week. But if you enjoy the breakdown, my discussion, my thoughts of where this is going to go, let me know down in the comments below. If you agree with me, what do you think is going to happen next? Because I honestly have no clue. So I'm excited to hear what other people are thinking of where this is going to go as well. But we also do a My Hero podcast weekly, where we go into My Hero Academia Vigilantes, the manga there as well, each and every chapter. And we also do very special topics. Last week we just did a game show going over a bunch of questions, so you can see how we did, but you could also kind of test your own skills and see how many of the 15 questions you get. So make sure to go check that out. That's on our YouTube channel, or also on all podcasting services across the globe. But that'll be all for this week's chapter breakdown of My Hero Academia Manga. I will see you all back here next Sunday for chapter 298, and hoping things look better for the heroes. But until then, see you guys later.